We've covered many interesting kaiju on this channel in the past, both from the Godzilla franchise and others too, but the monster we'll be looking at today might just be the most intriguing yet. At some point long ago, I happened to come into possession, don't ask how, of a long document with details about a Godzilla kaiju that was never allowed to see the light of day. But I think the time has finally come to reveal this monster to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present, Flayreon. That's right, Flayreon. Such a wonderful kaiju. I have absolutely no idea why Toho has prevented the monster from surfacing in any official media yet and never revealed anything about this secret kaiju to the public. Good thing I'm here to give this flower creature the attention it deserves. But before we begin, the top secret Flayreon files I possess also feature a few images of several other up-to-now unknown Godzilla monsters, which I will momentarily reveal. There are way fewer pictures of these monsters present within the document than there are of Flayreon, implying that the flower monster was the unknown artist's favorite. However, these other kaiju must have come pretty close to being included in some kind of official Godzilla media because many of them appear to have been trademarked, and some even possess trademark icons. To mention a few, among these lost monsters are Agandale, a mutant kaiju who is most enemies with Jaguar, Illenbaum, an evil bouncy monster made of springs that could slice through webs with his horn, Munga, some kind of ape-like kaiju that was friends with Godzilla and Rodan, Wheeled Godzilla, yes, a Godzilla-like monster with wheels, and of course the legendary monster Not Very Smart. Then there's also Winnie the Pooh, and what? How did this get into my top secret document? And who's Mayonnaise? And Turtle Dover? Okay, this is confusing. Let's just move into Flayreon's bio, beginning with his behind-the-scenes backstory. Just from the files, there's very little we can discern about how Flayreon was created, but I was able to learn a few things from a classified source when I, came into possession of the document. While the name of the artist that designed him is something I totally don't know, I do know that this designer was young at the time of Flayreon's creation, and that this flower creature was his favorite work, at least as far as Godzilla monsters. The beginning of the kaiju's name appears to come from the English word flower, and the rest of the name was just supposed to sound like a Godzilla monster name, or at least what the artist thought Godzilla monster names sounded like. From what I can tell, it was not influenced by the Pokemon with the nearly identical name. It doesn't appear that any Flayreon suit was ever produced, but the monster is featured in a completed, unpublished book hidden within the document. So, we will now cover Flayreon's in-universe history, referring to this book, called Lost on Alien Island, as well as several images to determine what plans this artist, definitely associated with Toho, had for the kaiju. Flayreon weighs exactly 2,006 pounds and stands 83 feet and 2 inches tall. Anguirus is confirmed to be his best friend, while Gigan is apparently his worst enemy. Enemy. Long ago, in Century 1, whichever century that was, Flayreon looked like this, before changing into this horrifying-looking thing in the next century. By Century 15, the kaiju had morphed into this creature, but in the modern day, it looks like this. I wonder what it'll look like in the next century. An interesting map of Monster Island reveals that Flayreon lived close to the main mass of land where the other kaiju dwelled, on a separate island that looked much like one of Godzilla's spines. But the story we're looking at takes place on a different island. Godzilla, Anguirus, 2 unreleased monsters, Mothra and Munga, and last but not least Flayreon, were swimming through the ocean to a city, but decided to change course and follow an arrow on a floating sign, which led them to a huge island they'd never seen. But the moment they set foot on the landmass, 4 giant claws grabbed hold of all of the kaiju, except Flayreon. Flayreon shouted, "Flower power!" and suddenly a huge flower sprouted underneath him, which shot up into the air so he could talk to the captured monsters. Oh yeah, in this book the monsters can talk. Logically. So anyway, these giant cranes were being operated by Gigan, King Ghidorah, and another new monster, Blaston, who looked on as the 4 captured monsters were dropped into cages over a screen. Apparently, the reason Flayreon was not grabbed by a claw as well was because King Ghidorah had made the mistake of only asking Gigan to make 4 of them. So the 3-headed monster convinced Gigan to go out into the rain to take on Flayreon and defeat him. So Gigan took an umbrella with him and engaged the flower monster. Gigan shot a stream of flames, but Flayreon escaped by climbing up a giant flower. Then he leapt down and began to rotate the sharp petals around his neck extremely fast, and smacked Gigan with them. The space kaiju roared in pain and ran back to complain to King Ghidorah, who was annoyed with his underling, but happy that Flayreon still had no way to open his friends' cages. But King Ghidorah would end up ruining his own plot when he followed his minion Not Very Smart to the control station for the mechanical hands, so he could help the blob operate them. The keys to the cages somehow slipped onto King Ghidorah's foot and fell off when he walked by Flayreon. How ironic, Ghidorah turned out to be the not very smart one. Flayreon unlocked his comrades, and they all swam back to Monster Island. Wow, what a great story. Should have been made into a motion picture. Other than this book, Flayreon appears to have also been an intended character in a video game. And aside from that, that is all we know about the flower monster. No figures were ever produced of the monster, which is a real shame. Maybe now that Toho's most secret kaiju has been revealed to the world, we'll finally get one. And until more information is leaked out, I think that covers everything. Hope you all enjoyed this Flayreon bio. Before we leave, are there any questions? Yes, Pencil Leopard.
Professor, do you really not know who created Flayreon?
What makes you ask that?
You've been acting extremely sus this whole class, and I think I might know what you've been hiding.
Quick, cue the end screen.
I think the true creator of Flayreon is...
La 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 la. Bye, students. See you next time. La la la.